Hello, this is Dr. Nancy Trimboli with your Healthcare Arsenal podcast. This podcast is designed for that person who knows there's a better way towards health and wellness. They just don't know what that better way is. And my hope for you is that with each passing episode, you get closer to being your own best expert. Today is part one of Stealth Health Secret Intel. I wrote this book, Stealth Health. I'm so proud of it. Every time I read pages in here, I get the tingles, I get the chills, because I know not only is it my truth, it is the truth. And what we're going to do in these coming months is we will go through chapter by chapter. I'm going to read some excerpts and I'm going to comment on them because some of these things are still extremely true, if not more widely recognized than previous to 2020. Some things I wouldn't say they've radically changed, but they have become obsolete because it is so apparent and our understanding needs to be going to the next level. So you notice this is my own copy of Stealth Health. I proudly put the Blue Ink Review Notable Award. This is an award that I won for the writing of Stealth Health. I completed writing the book and completed my editing actually when I was in Louisiana. I think it was March 3rd through 8th. 2020, and we all know what happened about a week later. So this book was literally in print as we were all on lockdown. So the COVID in 2020 and all the fallout from that was unknown to me at that time. And what's really fascinating is that so many of the things I talked about in this book that were kind of controversial or normal people didn't really think about, now normal people know. They have a knowingness of it. So I'm so proud of the public for that. Today, I'm going to go through the introduction, and my editor, AJ Harper, kudos to AJ Harper. Oh my gosh, this book would be nowhere, would be 1% of what it turned out to be without AJ. In the introduction, her introductions are not just fluff or like a recap of what you're going to read in the book. It is detailed information. It gets the reader excited. It lays the foundation of the author, meaning my credibility and my background and why I have the authority to write this book. If you or when you do buy the paper copy, please start with the introduction. This book is available on Audible, read by me. So you're going to get a little bit of the Audible version of it today because I will be reading directly out of the book, but giving my commentary as we go. The world is spinning faster, it seems. Our meal choices are decided by what is quicker or agreeable for the kids rather than what is better. We wage chemical warfare on our hair follicles, on the weeds in our landscaping, and on the germs that cover our surfaces in our homes. Sleep is disrupted by blue screens, stress, and addiction to the current TV drama. We spend more and save less. Our time is filled with activity, but no joy. Medical care has become mechanized. Big medical business groups now incorporate your small local doctor's offices in their conglomerate networks, changing how you interact with them. And this has become so glaringly obvious in the last 3 years. And it really started with the COVID lockdowns and how loved ones were not allowed to attend to their dying spouses, their dying mothers, their dying fathers, their dying children. It was a hypocrisy. It was horrible that the common person was totally out of touch with what was going on behind closed doors of a hospital or a medical facility. Um, and also, we all know because these medical corporations are now behind phone lines and phone trees, you cannot talk to your medical doctor. You'll be lucky if you get a call back. Now, even for me as a practitioner, I take x-rays in my office, so I viewed tens of thousands of films. Um, but sometimes I had a question if a patient brought an MRI in and I saw the report, but I had a question and I wanted to talk to the radiologist that actually read those films. I could just make a phone call and talk to that radiologist. I no longer can do that. I no longer am allowed to talk to the radiologist. There is no way for me to contact them. I've heard it's because I'm not part of their network, or I have to ask through the My Patient, um, and because I'm not part of their network, I don't have access to that. And that again is horrible. How me as a practitioner cannot talk to the person that read the films, and this is for the good of the patient. I continue. You march and run and bike in charitable events promising to cure every disease on the planet. Millions of dollars are raised and spent on research. Just think about when you go to the grocery store and do you want to round up for juvenile diabetes? Do you want to round up for muscular dystrophy? Do you want to round up for breast cancer research? But where is the money really going? Because, you know, if we have really waged a war on cancer, we would have fixed it by now. If the medical conservative medical model had figured out heart disease, we wouldn't have it anymore. But we see more and more people on medications, more and more people getting interventions. I continue. Millions of dollars are raised and spent on research, yet people become sicker at an ever younger age. Point number one, shingles was a disease relegated to only the severely immunocompromised 25 years ago. Now the Centers of Disease Control, CDC, estimate that 1 in 3 healthy adults will suffer from it at least once in their lifetime. Now, this is very true. When I was in chiropractic school, late 80s, early 90s, we learned about shingles, and it was something that people would get at the end of life when their immune system was shutting down. Now, every third person that you meet has had shingles, and it's getting more and more and more common. And I write this in Stealth Health. As distressing as this is, in 2002, a researcher predicted that a rise in shingles cases would occur with mass inoculation for chickenpox. I remember in the year 2000 when I heard about this chickenpox shot, and I thought, this is not going to be good. I don't know what's not going to be good, but this is not going to be good. At that time, I thought, well, the kids got to get a booster every 6 years. So that's okay when they're 6 years old, when they're 12 years old, and maybe even when they're 18 years old. But what about when they're in their 20s and they're off at college or they're off doing whatever? Are they going to go get a booster for the chickenpox? And that's when the chickenpox affects fertility if you get chickenpox as an adult. That's not what happened though. And what this researcher found and attempted to publish in 2002 was that there would be a rise in shingles, which is extremely painful. And it boggles my mind that chickenpox, itchy, you get the pustules, and then they heal and then it's, uncomfortable. But how the same virus causes shingles, which is so painful. So the researchers said that because children were not walking around pre-symptomatic, but like spreading the virus, shedding the virus, which gave a booster, a natural immune booster to the adults, because those kids were not walking around pre chickenpox, that the adults would not get boosters, and that's why their latent chickenpox virus would flare up. So now here's the thing. This researcher was not allowed to publish his research. He was completely discredited. He actually lost his job. He was ostracized. He was criticized. He was accused of manipulating data, which is death for a researcher's career and professional life. And he kept at it, kept at it, kept at it. And finally, in 2018, while I was writing Stealth Health, he was able to publish his research. Crazy, right? Why? That's what I always ask. Why? Why wouldn't we want to know if a new drug, vaccine, or something would cause problems later on down the road? Why? Why don't we want all the information? Here we go again. Chronic kidney disease rates are estimated to be 14% of the United States population and has remained steady since 2004. And this was from the National Kidney and Neurological Disease Information Clearinghouse, and it's from an article that was published in 2019. And here, Stealth Health, you can see at the bottom of the page is all my footnotes. There's 101 sourced footnotes. So everything that I write in here, I have the research and the data behind it. I continue. In the last 40 years, since Medicare began paying for dialysis, kidney failure rates multiplied by a factor of 47 times. Dialysis centers are now profitable business ventures collecting $34 billion a year from Medicare alone. And the reason why I researched this, because here in my little town in Indiana, I was like, oh my gosh, that strip mall has a dialysis center. 2 miles away, that strip mall has a dialysis center. Next to the urgent care, 2 towns away, that's a dialysis center. What the heck? And so I started to research it. And because once the diagnosis and the treatment is recommended, diagnosis is made, treatment is recommended, that person has to go there 3 times a week. And it only needs to be staffed by, I don't know, RNs, maybe LPNs, just the people that administer the dialysis. So it is super lucrative because these people have to go. If they don't go, they die. Why are we not preventing people from needing dialysis? Where is it going off the rails? So I continue. The next bullet point. Male infertility has been on the rise over the last 50 years, with speculation that the increased use of chemicals in our everyday world may be the cause. And one of the things with the chemicals has to do with, I know what I learned from Dr. Robert Lee. He, in his books, would quote research that was done in a Florida wetlands. And there was runoff from the local industry. And the runoff caused all of the frogs to be born female because it disrupted the DNA and it disrupted the development of the frog. Next, autoimmune disorders, a 20th century phenomenon, affect between 25 and 50 million Americans. Treatments are designed to dampen the immune system, potentially leaving the body vulnerable to infection and cancer. And I know you've heard this on the ads on TV for these types of medications that stop the immune system from working, because the belief is in autoimmune disorders is that your body is attacking itself. Now, why would your body attack itself? That's question number 1. Question number 2, is it worth the risk? And why aren't we asking the question, the powerful question, why? Why does this person have this disorder where their body seems to be attacking itself? Why? Why? What is going on? But unfortunately, with conventional medical care, the why question is not asked. What the conventional medical model does is it looks at what's the diagnosis. Let me gather information on the signs and the symptoms of the person, get some lab tests. What does this add up to, which gives me the diagnosis? And then it's the diagnosis that is treated, not the person. And I'm sorry, I do get a little worked up about this, and I apologize. But what's great about stealth health, and as I write in the subtitle, take back your power and unravel the mystery of you. So not only is this book informative about how the system is working against you, but it teaches you to recognize the system, because once you see it for what it is, you cannot unsee it. And then, okay, so now that we're, we got that, how do we solve our own mysteries? Because each one of us is unique and individual. So how to unravel the mystery that is you. All right, so here we go. How can your body be labeled as diseased, ill, or damaged when our bodies are miracles? Where is the healing? The healing arts we hear of occasionally, like acupuncture or homeopathy, are rarely recommended by a medical doctor. The reasons for that are simple, basic, and fundamental. It is merely a different perspective, a different philosophy, not a wrong or dangerous philosophy, just different. Because of that, most medical professionals don't understand it. I talk about this further on in Stealth Health, and I talk about what the reason is that medical doctors either don't recommend alternative healthcare, or at times accuse it of being chicanery, quackery, a waste of time, a waste of money, um, uh, of the placebo effect, and even at times call it threatening, and that holistic care is dangerous. And and it's really just because of the way medical doctors were trained, and it even goes way further back than that. But I'm going to keep you in suspense for now. In my 25 years as a busy practitioner of chiropractic, I've seen over 20,000 individual patients. They have consulted with me for everything from panic attacks to slip discs to infertility and everything in between. My education consists of a bachelor's degree in biology, after which I earned my doctorate in chiropractic. As my mom used to say, I'm a smart cookie. I have an excellent reputation with local medical doctors, and this is why I wrote this. This is why I'm reading this paragraph to you, because I know all of you know me. I have an excellent reputation with a local medical doctor, all the local medical doctors, mostly because of an interaction with a 14-year-old patient when I was in practice for about 2 years. I spotted an abnormality in her walking that prompted me to send her immediately across the hall to the neurologist. She had a bone infection that required 2 weeks of intravenous antibiotics in the hospital. My referral may have saved her life or her leg. The news of my referral to the neurologist must have made it through the phone tree to all the medical doctors in my county. To this day, I have patients say, my doctor said not to see a chiropractor. Then I told them it was you, Dr. Nancy. And then the medical doctor says, oh, okay, it's Nancy. That's fine. She's okay. The biggest fear of medical doctors, from what I've heard, is that their patients related to holistic healing arts like chiropractic, their biggest fear is that the practitioner will not not refer a patient who is in crisis care to medical care. Like, for instance, this young girl had a bone infection. And if I just continued to see her at my office, that is not going to cure or help the bone infection, because a bone infection is very serious, and her body had lost the ability to heal it. So she needed those intravenous antibiotics. It saved her life. and I made that appropriate referral. So their biggest fear is that chiropractors won't spot that type of thing. We won't spot a stroke. We won't spot a heart attack. We won't spot a bone infection. We won't spot cancer. But we are trained to do just that. That's why our schooling is 3.5 years. That's why we earn a doctorate. So let's see. Because I made that immediate referral, I quelled the fears of every medical professional around, even now. Now, this is 25 years later. The sad part, any chiropractor would have done the same. We don't want patients who are in crisis in our office. We don't want them there because they're not going to get well with us. A large part of our professional training in chiropractic is teaching us when to make that referral. So I'm not unique like that. The fact that the conventional medical model is failing its patients is not the fault of the medical doctor, by the way. I have friends who have medical degrees and are in practice. For the most part, they truly want to help people. But I feel sorry for my medical doctor friends because their toolbox is so limited and potentially dangerous. What's their toolbox? Medications, surgeries, and medical interventions. The third leading cause of death in the United States is medical errors. Only heart disease and cancer top medical errors. Some researchers say that the deaths due to medical errors are close to 440,000 Americans a year. And rarely does the death certificate list the error as the cause of death. Medical intervention is dangerous. Drugs have side effects. Individuals respond differently to drugs. The people administering the medications are human and can make human errors. Medical care is also necessary. We have extended our life expectancies by saving people from otherwise fatal accidents, injuries, and illnesses. Drugs and surgeries can save lives and improve function, but there must be a better way, and there is. Over the last 25 years, I have assisted people by using the chiropractic adjustment. I have also assisted them on their paths to find true healing. Because my chosen profession is a healing art that is by definition outside of the drug prescription arena, I am free to discover holistic remedies. I am not confined, like many of my medical doctor friends, to a predetermined mode of thinking. Thus, I have become a resource for many thousands of patients searching for alternative holistic healing remedies. And that is exactly why this podcast, Your Healthcare Arsenal, exists. And further on in self-health, I discuss how to assemble your own healthcare arsenal. Let's see. I know you are on a health mission, or you want to be. If you've picked up this book, if you're part of this community, if you watch this podcast, there is an underlying urge to find a new path, motivating change in your approach. Likely in your past, there has been more than one dead end. Day after day, you suffer, putting on a smiling face for those that depend on you. I commend you for continuing the search for true healing, even though you are tired and in despair. Determination is driving you. Innately, you know that healing is out there. Where exactly, you aren't sure. When embarking on any mission, you need to ask yourself about the destination. Asking better questions will help. Some questions are self-defeating. Questions like, why can't anyone help me? And what if I'm like this forever? Those will get you nowhere. Asking better questions opens up the possibility of better answers and allows you to be mentally available when the right person emerges with a new idea or a successful path for you to follow. So that is why I wrote this book, so that you have a roadmap on how to be open to the practitioners and the healing paths that might suddenly be illuminated for you, and to recognize them as that. People who will become your allies in healing and their impactful ideas are all around you. Up until now, you haven't been able to see them or know about them, and this is normal and common. Most of these techniques and people run contrary to the established norms. Some of them must adhere to the rules of the Food and Drug Administration or the Federal Trade Commission, and therefore cannot be forthcoming with the benefits of their treatments or remedies. Your job is to sleuth out the information that has been purposefully hidden from you. Practitioners of certain healing arts may be restricted in your state due to archaic state laws. Although these people exist, you will never see a website or a telephone listing for them, which is exactly why I have the Your Healthcare Arsenal podcast, so that you can meet them. You can hear them speak. You can hear my experience with them as practitioners. And if not them personally, somebody in their arena as a practitioner. And I'm so excited about that because for many years, it was so hard to just get this information out there. And now I have the podcast. For example, in 15 states, midwifery is unlicensed. A certified midwife would be at risk for criminal prosecution if she assisted in a labor and delivery. Even for me in my practice, if I was to advertise that patients of mine had gotten permanent relief and resolution from their anxiety or from their infertility, I would be slapped with disciplinary action from my own state board of chiropractic. We are all flying under the radar, as are you now, as a secret, as a stealth health operative, I like to call you. Um, and now we have a new code word for your mission to figure yourself out. Mission you. And I use the term mission you throughout the book. If all of these wonderful people who can help you with these remedies are not in plain view, how do you find them? You might be asking. Practitioners like us stick together. We are allies that remain in the shadows. And this is totally true. This is like an underground network that you probably don't know about. And it not only exists in my area, I am sure it exists in your area. Um, these healthcare providers that run counter to conventional medicine and drug therapy tend to know each other because we speak a common language. We talk about how healing comes from within, how that drugs kill. We talk about how getting rid of the interferences to health and just giving the body what it needs will allow the body to heal. So I, in Stealth Health, will teach you how to find reputable people that will be your allies on your healing journey. Those practitioners, in turn, will share their wisdom and connections. You'll be able to tap into their contact list again and again. Like, for instance, I am what I call a first ally to many of my patients. I am their gateway into this whole world of holistic and alternative healing. So once they talk to me about how they can approach an issue or their mystery from a certain perspective, and they have success with that, they will come back to me again in the future or for a member of their family. Because of the trend of embracing holistic care is strengthening, that circle of resources is widening. And this is so exciting. Since 2020, people are so much more willing to look outside of the conventional medical model because they have seen firsthand the atrocities of what has happened and how the aptitude of conventional medical care is nosediving. So that is super exciting for me to see people wake up to that. You are on the precipice of the fall of the system that has worked against you your whole life. And the system is capitalized T, capitalized S, the system, which I'll talk about in a future episode of Stealth House Secret Intel. So you are on the precipice of the fall of the system, which has worked against you your whole life, wreaking havoc on your health at the same time. You have perfect timing. I have to caution you, though, that there are also channels of false information that may lead you astray. I have seen this time and time again where people are on a path of healing, on a holistic path, discovering, unraveling their mystery, and somebody derails them because of false information. So, Mission U, should you choose to accept it, will not be a walk in the park, but you've been through the roughest part of it. Because of your health issue, you've felt the sadness of missing parts of your life. You've been in survival mode, unable to enjoy the parts that bring you the most joy. The regret of not having the life you intended at this point can be crushing at times. You were supposed to be in a great symbiotic relationship, being the attentive parent or traveling the world. Pointless medical tests have left you frustrated and broke, and the lack of compassion of medical personnel is unimaginable at times. But you have been trying your darndest, and you have fallen short. But do not fear. Help has arrived. I am here. And I know your situation is different. Your problems are complex. Even though there is still a healing path for you, the magic of true healing is that it relies on the wisdom of the body. Your body is a walking, talking, breathing miracle. Self-healing and repair are what our body does best, but only if it has the basic building blocks and the obstructions to healing are removed. That's what holistic care does. It removes the thing blocking your path. Your body has 206 bones, over 600 muscles, and 40 quadrillion cells. Millions of neural synapses fire every second of every day. It all works perfectly unless it doesn't. You aren't all messed up. Just some nuances are out of sync. And I will show you how to regain order. And I promise by the end of this book, as you turn the last page, you will be well into Mission U. So I hope you're ready for a little bit of a ride. I love reading this book, and I love giving a perspective, a new perspective of where we are now after the publication of Stealth Health. So as always, here on your Healthcare Arsenal podcast, I am hoping that with each passing episode, you are closer to being your own best expert. Bye for now.